Hey guys, I'm back. Sorry for the delay between videos. Been a lot going on recently. Got injured at work and was out of work for a little bit of time. Plus, just all the holidays are coming up, um, and so I've just been trying to get caught up. And then I'm filming a couple of videos all at once this time because this coming weekend I'm going out of state to watch my younger brother get married and participate in his wedding and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to try to record a couple of videos today. This video in particular is going to be me talking about if I were to go back and do it all again, um, what would I have done differently? What would I have done the same with the experience that I've had now? And just talking a little bit more about what it was actually like working for Prime and then Schneider and now over here at Carvana. Um, so this video is just going to be kind of going through and talking about all that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, so I hope you all enjoy. So those of y'all who've been around for a while will know I started with Prime, left car sales, selling Audis to actually go over and start driving trucks. Went into Prime with nothing more than my just regular Class C driver's license, just allow me to drive cars and everything up to 26,000 pounds, and went there and got my license with Prime. So I flew in, went through their orientation, which I flew in on a holiday weekend, so my orientation was 4 days instead of 5. But going through the orientation was 4 days of doing classwork, learning all their procedures of how they like you to do things, all the safety rules, doing all the computer-based training and the testing required with that, plus every night. I got every night. Some folks would do it during the day, but it was every night going into the sim lab and practicing shifting and backing and driving and just obstacle avoidance, stuff like that in the simulator lab before they actually send you out to get your out on the road with your PSD trainer. So doing all that kind of stuff, you take your permit test there in the hotel, and as long as you pass it that day, you hop on a bus. They will take you down to the local DOT office, or DMV office, sorry, and you will get your commercial, you'll get your, if you do it like me and you go to Springfield, Missouri, you'll get your Missouri driver's license and your Missouri commercial learner's permit. Then you'll come back, meet up with your trainer, all that stuff, and go out on the road for at least 14 days of driving. You'll come back after being out there for at least 14 days, and you will have a couple of days to practice on the training pad, and then you will test for your CDL and go back out either with the same trainer to do your TNT phase, or in my case, I went out with a different trainer to do my TNT phase. My first trainer was a company driver, my second trainer was a lease driver, and in the end I ended up going lease. If I had to go back and do it again, I would do it as a company driver instead of a lease driver. Looking back at it now and the fact that I've been a company driver at my last 2 driving jobs, I have realized that I make a lot more as a company driver than I did a lease driver. I know there are lease drivers out there that at least appear to make more than company drivers, but in my experience I ended up making a lot less than a company driver and taking on a lot more risk than a company driver did, because I was responsible for everything, instead of having it be Prime's responsibility and my my only responsibility being getting the load there on time safely and just doing what they tell me to do basically, and getting paid per mile instead of 72% of whatever they said they were getting paid for the load. So yeah, if I had to do it different, things I would have done differently, I would have become a company driver instead of a lease driver. I mean, aside from that, I feel I got the training I got with Prime set me up to get a great job that I had with Schneider, and it also set me up to have the amazing job that I now have hauling cars for Carvana. My last 2 jobs I've been home every night, but the training at Prime was great. They taught me how to safely drive the truck. They made sure that I felt confident in driving the truck before I got out on the road. I got a great taste of what over the road trucking was like, and I've come to realize that I have no desire to go back to over-the-road trucking. I know there are folks out there that love over-the-road trucking. They like being out on the road and being in the truck all the time. I really don't enjoy that. I like driving trucks. I do not like living in the truck. But I mean, the overall experience I had with Prime, aside from not making a heck of a lot of money, which I know is just part of your first job in trucking, is going to be proving yourself, proving that you have what it takes to drive the truck, you have what it takes to make it in the industry, and just gaining the experience to get in with companies that are going to pay you more, that are looking for experienced drivers. You have to put in the hard work for not a heck of a lot of pay for your first 6, 9, 12 months in the industry to prove to the other companies that do pay better that you are an experienced driver, that you know what you're doing, that you are worth taking a risk on hiring and paying more money. So a lot of the times when you get into trucking, everybody I've talked to has said, yeah, your first trucking job it's going to kind of suck. You're going to get worked to the bone for not a lot of money, and you are going to be running around like a crazy person. That's what I did for my first year. It wasn't fun. Honestly, it did almost push me out of the industry, but I made it through that first year. I ended up moving on to another company, which if I had stuck with Prime, I may very well have switched over to company, or I may have figured out the lease thing better and ended up making more money that way. But after a year, I moved over to Schneider, which was a home daily position. It was salary, sort of. I was paid a daily rate, so every day I worked, I made X amount of money. If I didn't work, I didn't get paid that day, so it was nice being able to know if I work 5 days this week, I'm going to make such and such, instead of saying, well, I hope my next load isn't going to be one that pays me like $1,000 and then I have to pay fuel and all that kind of stuff out of that, plus my truck payment and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't responsible for a truck payment, I wasn't responsible for insurance, I was not responsible for anything like that anymore, and it was such a load off of my shoulders, and it made it so that I realized that I actually did enjoy working in the trucking industry. I was back, I was making more than double what I made at Prime. I was home every night, I worked 5 days a week, I got to have a life, I had a predictable schedule. It was a great experience. With Schneider, would I have changed anything? No, I feel it was a great opportunity. It again set me up for where I'm at now, because I had flatbed experience and over the road. I had the experience with Schneider. By the time I left Schneider, I had roughly 130,000 miles with Prime. I drove around like a crazy person. I came home every 2 or 3 months for a few days, and then I'd go back out over the road, which may be part of what wore me out. If I went back and did it again, I definitely would not stay on the road for that long of a stretch of time. I felt as a lease operator I had to, because even when you go home, you still have to make your truck payment and all that kind of stuff, and you're not making any money while you're home, which you're not as a company driver either. But if I had been a company driver, I would have definitely probably went home every month at least, instead of every 2 to 3 months. Probably would not have gotten worn down quite as fast if I was doing it that way. But I went to Schneider. I was there for about 6 months. The only reason I left Schneider is because the account that I was on, they were closing down the Atlanta branch of that account, so my options were either go back out over the road, because there's not a lot of home daily trucking jobs with Schneider here in Atlanta. So I could go back out over the road, which I had no desire to do, because quite frankly the Prime trucks were equipped quite a bit nicer than the Schneider trucks. They had the APUs, they had nicer interiors, they were optioned out a little bit nicer than the Schneider trucks. They had the built-in inverters and all that kind of stuff in them, so you could have TV, satellite, microwave, all that kind of stuff, and you could have the AC running at night, because the APU was there to make sure that the batteries kept going and to run the AC compressor, all that kind of stuff, instead of just having a fan built into the little vent on the side beside the bed. So they were equipped a little bit nicer, but the prime trucks were a little bit nicer, and as I said, it just wasn't my cup of tea. Or I could move to Alabama, which at that, Nico, sorry buddy, which at that point I really didn't want to move to Alabama. I was still in the middle of the lease on my apartment. I was still kind of recovering financially from having a year of the same, almost the same bills, still paying rent, still paying a car payment on an Audi while making a lot less money than I needed to be to have that car. Plus, well, I actually didn't have health insurance for that year because it was health insurance when it's not company sponsored, when you're having to pay 100% of it. Turns out it was really, really expensive. So I just had to pray that for that year I did not get seriously injured or seriously sick or anything like that. And by some miracle, somebody was watching over me. Whether y'all believe in God or not, I do personally, but whether or not y'all do, whatever y'all believe in, somebody was watching out over me, and I managed to make it through that year without any serious injuries or serious illnesses. So I didn't, not having health insurance did not come back to bite me. But I was coming back, so I was having to catch up on some bills, try to get some money back in the bank, all that kind of stuff. So I just couldn't afford to move to another state to keep on that same account. So I went on the job hunt again and ended up applying to work for Carvana. Actually applied to drive one of the little single car tow trucks first and did not get that one. So I saw they had one where you needed a Class A CDL driving car haulers, 8 and 9 car haulers. So I applied for that one, ended up getting that one. It is a traditional salaried job where it's, whether I work 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week, I make the same exact amount per year, plus some other incentives and all that kind of stuff. And I love working for Carvana. It is not a typical trucking atmosphere. It is slowly developing into having a little bit more of the traditional trucking atmosphere, but it is still very friendly. I can walk into, on the yard I'm at right now, they're building a permanent building, but currently it is still just office trailers parked out on the lot. It is a lot with roughly 6,000 cars sitting on it, plus, God, how many trucks do we have? 40 or 50 car haulers sitting out there at any one time before they're all sent out for the day. But I can walk in the office and I can talk to my dispatcher, several different logistics managers. Well, actually the dispatchers are in Arizona now. So the logistics managers, the inventory associates, the area manager, when he is here in Winder or Atlanta, the Atlanta Winder area, when he's actually here, his main office is here, I can walk in, sit down and chat with him. So I can work my way and just sit there and walk in and talk to whoever I want to. It is a very fun, open environment. It is the definition of an open door environment. It is I guess it's got a lot of this, I guess you would call it a kind of a millennial company without the negative parts that are viewed about the millennial generation. It's very open door. It is very progressive. It is an amazing company to work for, and I absolutely love it. They treat me great. The pay is great. The benefits are amazing. The schedule is great. It changes about every 7 weeks. You actually bid on what route you want to get. I've been on the same route since March. I've been on the extra board, which means I wake up every morning to a text message at about 7:30 or 8 telling me where I'm going. So one day I could be running up into Tennessee, the next day I could be running up to Charlotte, North Carolina, and then I could be doing, the day after that I could be doing Greenville, Columbia, or I could be like Sunday, Monday this week, which this video will probably go live the same day I recorded it, which is Saturday the 7th. Sunday, Monday I'll be doing the Atlanta PM run, so I'll go into work. When I do the Atlanta runs, they let me know ahead of time, because the Atlanta run is, while it's the least distance traveled, it is by far the trickiest one, because you're doing, especially since it's right after Black Friday, it's Cyber Monday, so sales went way up for that weekend. You're usually doing 9 cars out, 9 cars back, unload, reload, 9 more cars out, unload, reload, 9 cars back on, and come back. So you're doing 2 runs out of the yard and 2 runs back into the yard during that one versus just 1 load out, 1 load back. So the Atlanta run is kind of hectic, but Sunday, Monday I'll be doing the Atlanta run, so I'll just do those 2 truckloads. I'll go in at 4 p.m. and I'll probably get off around, if I'm lucky, sometime between midnight to 2 a.m. Just depends on how hectic things get, finding cars and all that kind of stuff, and getting in and out of Atlanta. But yeah, my run varies every day. I have to know every route we run out of Winder, which is a lot of routes. There's Birmingham, there's Greenville, Columbia, there's Macon, Augusta, there's Nashville, there's Chattanooga, there's Charlotte, there's Columbus, Georgia. I don't know if I said Birmingham or not yet, but we service Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina, part of North Carolina. There's also a yard up in North Carolina that services the rest of North Carolina and Virginia and all that kind of stuff. And then we do the Florida meet, which is by far my favorite run, where we run from Winder down to Tifton, meet some drivers that drove up from Orlando. I give them my truck keys, I take their truck keys, we hop in each other's trucks, and we head back to our respective yards. I like that one because it's predictable and it's the same run every day, and I happen to like that run. So we service a large portion of the Southeast, basically. But every 7 weeks you get to bid on a new bucket, and then based on seniority, how long you've been there, they just go down the list, and I keep getting the extra board. I'm hoping this time to get Florida, but I guess we'll see what happens, because I just put in my bids last night, so find out Monday or Tuesday. But yeah, no, so I mean, things I would change. I would have went company driver first. So company driver, I still would have went to Prime for my training. It was still a great experience, training wise and all that, and it got me to where I am today, so I really can't complain because I'm very happy with where I'm at today. I would have went home more often, so that I wouldn't have gotten burned out quite so quickly. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have changed what division I was with. I wouldn't have changed where I went to get my training. I wouldn't have changed any of the major stuff. It's just those other things that, looking back, hindsight is always 20/20, and it's something I learned. So my advice would be, should you go to Prime for training? I would say yes. I mean, Prime gives amazing training. I know that I went through training with Schneider when I got there. It wasn't the same as brand new, never driven a truck before training, but I know that Schneider does amazing training as well. A lot of the companies that are out there hiring drivers as fresh drivers do great training programs. Would I recommend getting your CDL before you go into a training program? I mean, it's really up to you. I'm happy I didn't. I got my training hands-on, hauling actual loads down the road instead of sharing a truck with some other guys at a truck driving school and just driving an empty truck around the same route every day. I actually got out there and got real world experience, so when I got my license and went out to do team, I was already comfortable driving the truck under different loads and in different weather conditions and all that kind of stuff, just me one-on-one with my trainer. So I feel that getting your license, going into a trucking company, which some may require you to come in with your learner's permit already, but I would recommend going and getting your actual license with them. If you want to get your permit before you go, I don't see any problem with that, but I would definitely recommend getting your license with the actual company. And then coming home, and I did drive in for Schneider home daily. I love driving home daily. I happen to make a lot more than I did over the road, because going from Schneider to Carvana was another very great pay bump right there. But a lot of the home daily jobs, you are going to need a year, at least a year, usually 2 years of experience and a very clean driving record to get the home daily jobs, especially the ones that pay very well, like what I have now. But So that's what I would have changed. There's not a heck of a lot I would have changed, but my advice would be go the company option first, get out there, get your feet wet, learn about trucking, learn about driving the truck, how to manage loads, all that kind of stuff. And then if you want to go and do the lease route, once you're more familiar with the business and you know what you're doing and all that kind of stuff, and you've kind of figured out what your fuel burn is going to look like, so you can kind of calculate fuel costs and all that kind of stuff, go lease after you have experience. And yes, I had a lot of people tell me that ahead of time, and I chose to ignore them. I wish I hadn't. I wish I would have listened instead of being hard-headed and stubborn. But quite frankly, I'm a little hard-headed and stubborn. What can I say? Yeah, so that's kind of my experience with trucking. That's the path I took. That's the lessons that I learned, and that's the recommendations I would have for folks. If you have any questions, or you've driven for those companies and you want to put your opinion out there, maybe you don't make videos, please leave me comments. The video I'm getting ready to record actually is reading off the comments that I've gotten recently. So I've got them all pulled up right there. So those are all the comments I've gotten. I'm going to go ahead and respond to the majority of them. I mean, there's always a few that get in there where it's I'm just not going to dignify them with a response. But yeah, and also thank you all for, I know I'm really late on this, but thank you all for getting me up there to 1,000 subscribers. The channel is officially monetized. I'm sure some of y'all have realized all of a sudden I don't know whether YouTube was playing ads on the videos before I got monetized or not and just keeping the money. But I'm sure y'all have realized that there are, if they weren't before, there are ads on the videos now. I'm almost to 1,100 subscribers now, but yes, thank y'all for that. I want to keep this channel growing. Hopefully things will get a little more interesting. I need to get a new GoPro because this one has to stay plugged in to keep working. But once we do that, hopefully I'll be able to get some more interesting videos going of just normal life. Maybe some videos around work and all that kind of stuff. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to see. I have to kind of play it by ear and see what Carvana is cool with, because obviously I'm not going to do anything that they don't want me to do. I love this job. I don't want to do anything to compromise it. So all that is gonna be based off of what they're okay with. But yeah, until next time, y'all stay safe out there. Questions, comments, anything like that, always feel free to put them in the video. I do see them all. I get emails every time y'all send me one, plus I get the YouTube Studio and YouTube notifications. So far I don't get so many that is not doable. I can still do that. I'm sure as the channel grows, eventually I may have to turn that down to where I just check them online and I'm not constantly getting the notifications. So take advantage of it while they're all getting sent over to me, and let me know what y'all would like to see. But until next time, y'all stay safe out there. Bye.